At Resto Pros. It's time to talk ball with the great Perry and very fleet-footed Perry Orth, by the way.
Yes, very.
Every Thursday. Every Thursday. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm great. Good to talk to you guys, and glad that it is game week. So it's much needed bye week, but man, I'm back in Columbia for the game. Going to be in attendance. No more weddings. No more parties. No more. I'm in this thing. I am here and ready to cheer on the Gamecocks, but ready to break it down today though.
You got to eliminate those people from your life, Perry. You can't be around people that don't understand the football schedule. That's a no-no.
Terrible.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty terrible. All right, look, this is I think that some people maybe are dismissing it a little bit because Kentucky wore the shine off of Ole Miss's unblemished record, and not us. Ole Miss is really, really good. They have a ton of athletes and a bunch of All-Americans and a bunch of transfers and the whole 9 yards. But it does seem like Kentucky gave the blueprint for how you beat teams like that last week. Perry, how do you take what you saw with your eyeballs and that matchup and compare it to who the Gamecocks are and what they might try to do on Saturday afternoon?
Well, from a defensive standpoint, Kentucky gave us the roadmap. It is hold the interior, take away the run, drop 7 or 8 in coverage, and ultimately get pressure on the quarterback. And I think that we're better at pass rushing we have a better pass rush than Kentucky does. Kentucky's got a good secondary, but I wouldn't say that they're world beaters. We didn't exactly struggle throwing the football against them. Actually, Lenoris made statistically the best game of the 3 that he's played. And then ultimately, it's takeaway. Keep away, I should say. Time of possession was 2-1 on Kentucky's offense and Ole Miss offense. And, they ran the ball well. They kept it away. They ran the quarterback well. And, Ole Miss did have the game won, but Kentucky made the play late in the game to win. And I have a suspicion that we're gonna model a lot of our game, a lot of our offensive game off of what they did, right? Running the quarterback, regardless of Sellers being healthy. I do think that we will see Ashford run the football to utilize that 11 on 11 with the quarterback run. And it all kind of goes into it. We know that Ole Miss on the perimeter is about as talented as any team in the country, but they are not in the interior. So we were able to get pressure on the quarterback against LSU, and they have 2 of the best tackles in the country, 2 potential day 1, day 2 guys playing on Sundays. So we need to stick to that model, play defense the way we do, and we take care of the football, and we will win the game. But if we give up big plays, give Jackson Dart all day to throw the football, and he dices us up, and then we kick it around on offense, and it's not going to be pretty. But we've shown so far that we can get takeaways. We can hold the football on offense. So I really like our chances.
There's a lot of injury questions coming into the ball game, and I know that here on our side of the fence, we're obviously focused on the health of Lenore Sellers and Rocket Sanders. I think that both will play, but to your point, I think Robbie Ashford will be in the ball game, and I don't know when or where, but I do think he will play. I think Carolina will have 2 quarterbacks in there. On the other side, though, they've got issues up front. JC earlier talking about the depth at center, they might be down to the 3rd string guy there. Henry Parrish has a banged up ankle, and he got bonked in the head last weekend too, to coin a term or phrase from the head ball coach. So we don't know. We just don't know. We do know this: the 2 of the best running backs in the country, or in the country, definitely in the league, are in this game, and they both have an ankle issue. On the quarterback situation, though, look, if how does this change your view, or does it change your view of Carolina's offense and their chances of upsetting the Rebels if Lenore Sellers can't go, or if he's minimized?
I think it's going to be a lot of what we saw against Akron, which kind of plays into a lot of what we saw from Kentucky. Vandergriff would kind of go out to receiver, and they'd bring kind of that dual threat guy in to go in there and run it around a little bit. And Vandergriff made the big throws on third down to keep the sticks alive, right, and keep the drive alive and keep it moving. I don't expect Lenoris to be the running threat of the ball game. What I did like about the Akron game is there were 4 guys that got 5 carries or more in the game. So I think regardless of Rocket, we have depth at that position to go and carry the football and do it well. And it's good to get some of those young guys that did carry the ball, another home game, another familiar atmosphere to get them comfortable. But, I believe that Ashford showed that he has the ability to win football games, right? And, it got me laughing over the bye week, or really, I guess the bye week, but even the Akron game. Auburn has just had a mess at quarterback. And, to see the Auburn faithful just being like, can you believe that we let Ashford go and he goes and runs for 150 and throws for 200 and scores 4 touchdowns? Meanwhile, we got to play with these guys. I think there's a major culture problem down there, and there's a major program problem down there. And so I look at guys like Robbie, and you think, well, how much does that play into the quarterback play? Well, if you listen to guys in the NFL, a lot of franchises ruin quarterbacks before they even step on the field, or they even give them time to develop. And so that could have been something that Robbie unfortunately suffered from. But I think he gives us a chance to win the game with his ability. And although I think Lenoris does the same things, but just a little bit more upside than Robbie. But I'm excited to see and hopeful to see Robbie play, because he is incredibly dynamic with the ball in his hand.
Yeah, I'm going to steal a question from Mike. He asked Steven yesterday what he thought about Jackson Dart, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. Your opinion of the Rebels signal caller.
Yeah, talented, can throw it all over the field, tough as nails. I tell you, Lane Kiffin, he gets these quarterbacks to play a certain way, and he has just incredible confidence in them. I remember when he had Matt Corral before Jackson Dart, and they're on the road up at Tennessee, and they ended up winning a game. And remember, they had golf balls thrown at him. It was his return to Neyland. And the one thing he said, which just, it shows, man, when your head coach has that much confidence in you at quarterback, you're going to play better. You almost feel like Superman, right? Versus some coaches are like, oh, yeah, he's this and he's that, and we're going to do what we can to make it easy for him. But when he goes up there and says, hey, as long as, I don't know what Jackson Dart is, or can't remember what Matt Corral's number was, say he's number 12. He said, as long as we got number 12, we got a shot. And this is right before kickoff, and the place is exploding. And Corral went out there and just played guns free and just balled out and won the game. And he was 190 pounds trying to run people over. And they play with this reckless abandon because I think their coach allows them to. And there's something to be said for that. And so with Jackson Dart, he plays the same way, runs the ball physical, throws it well, plays with reckless abandon that you can, as much as you can at quarterback. And that's why they score so many points, right? And they're going to have that same mentality coming to Williams-Brice, even though that defensive line they're getting ready to face is a different beast. But very impressed with Jackson, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the conference for sure.
Perry, I know you love diving into X's and O's, so this is not the first time you've obviously been looking at a Lane Kiffin offense. Last week versus Kentucky notwithstanding, what is it about Lane's offenses over the years that has been so effective? He's one of the few guys. I know who their offensive coordinator is. Technically, they have somebody in but he's calling plays.
Yeah.
Lane is one of the few. Lane, Hugh Freeze, one of the few guys left that's actually dialing these things up. What is it when you watch Lane's offenses on tape? What is it you see that causes problems, and what do you think could cause potential problems for Carolina?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind when I think of a Lane Kiffin offense, it's much like Spurrier in the sense of they are going to try to score. And most teams try to be cute and okay, well, if I get this stat, I'm going to do this. And I know that if I call this, I'm going to get my 9-yard gain to then run this to then roll into the 5-yard gain. He's like, no, F that. We're going to try to score the freaking football, whether it's over your head, run it. He runs to set up the deep ball. And it's the same mentality that Spurrier did. Now, Lane, much like Sarkisian, which those are my two favorite play callers in the game. Sark is number one, and then Lane would be number two. And well, let me rephrase that. Dowell Loggains is number one, just to clarify, and then Sarkisian's number two. But I love the way that they try to score points. I love that they are pedal to the metal and full guns blazed to score the ball. They spread you thin. They're not quite like Tennessee, where they don't use their splits are not out to like right between the numbers and the sideline, but they're going to try to press the ball vertically down the field. And when they do spread you out, that's when you see those strong run games. He's not afraid to run the quarterback, but and he's creative. He will run certain plays. Like he ran a play where they'll send a guy on a jet motion where they're running power read with the quarterback, but he'll rock, pull, and then throw a little wheel to the running back running out as if he was a lead block. And they're just incredibly creative, and it leaves defenses on their heels. And if we don't attack, the way that you beat offenses that like to attack, you've got to go at them too. You can't try to be like, okay, let's play this prevent, keep everything in front and just pray that. No, you gotta fight that pressure with the pressure and attack. And if we do that, which we've done, I think we'll win the game.
Yeah, I love that. I was just about to ask you about that, Perry, because this defense this year has the ability to attack much more so than they have the last few years, especially off the edges, the interior. Coach Kiffin mentioned earlier in the week that they were facing what he thought were elite defenses back to back.
Yeah,
Kentucky, and then here South Carolina. But he mentioned that they were two totally different styles of defense, where Kentucky, big and bulky, keep everything in front of you. South Carolina is twitchy, and they're going to try to get up the field on you there. So I'm really curious to see when they are on the field. Obviously, I think ball control offense for South Carolina is just as valuable this weekend as anything they'll do. But defensively, when you've got a play caller like you're talking about, and that's a great question from Mike, and an attacker, we're going to try to score. We're going to try to score. How do they use that twitchiness and that speed and that aggressiveness that Carolina's edge rushers and those guys have? How do you think that they'll use that against them?
How do you think that Ole Miss will use that against South
Carolina? Yeah, like how do they attack that?
Yeah, through misdirection and showing one thing and doing another, whether that be obviously misdirection in the run game, lots of counters, lots of quarterback runs and reads with counters, which they do a lot of, by the way. They're going to run the power read, right, and really put those edge rushers in a bind where they have to be the ones to make a decision, right? We talked about that, the Coach Elliott style of run game that we talked about against Kentucky, that we did against Kentucky a couple weeks ago, or that we did back when I was playing, is putting those elite pass rushers in a position that requires them to think instead of just bookended play. The other thing, Clayton White is going to run some man-to-man and be ready for some deep shots. And we've got to just play really good coverage. We've got to play, the famous term, got to be in phase the whole time and not be handsy and be giving away PIs. And we just got to play the football. And, I think that Ole Miss is also going to try lots of pick routes, lots of mesh, right, to get that guys running side to side and picking one another as they're crossing the field, especially in that man coverage, because that really does put defenses like ours in a bind. But get ready for unconventional. Let me phrase that. Get ready for screens on unconventional downs, whether it be not third down, but more of like 1st and 10 or 2nd and medium, when we've seemed to have been heating up pressure. Get ready for lots of perimeter screens and running back screens just to slow those guys down, right? Like we were saying, they're going to want to have our defensive ends booking up the field and flying, trying to kill a quarterback. Next thing you know, they're dumping the ball and they're out the gate, right? We want to. I keep saying we as if I'm calling plays against our defense. They will want to isolate those defensive ends to make them think instead of just allowing them to. Here comes drop back 3rd and 10, and here comes Kennard to tear the kid's face off. So that's what I expect to see.
Carolina very deep up front, as we all well know. By the way, PFF's Trevor Sikkema today called South Carolina the best defensive line in college football. Whether you believe that or not, that's coming from somebody who's national. He may or may not be married to Alyssa Lang, but we're not going to tell anybody that. But the point is, like, South Carolina finally has the dudes. And there, there's other people that have said these. Like, these guys.
Who said? I lost for a second. Who said that we had the best defense?
Trevor Sikkema with PFF,
Gotcha.
Pro Football Focus, and he may or may not have married Alyssa Lang, but nobody asked that question. But look, man, they're deep. They have a lot of guys, and that's one of the things in a game like this, like where if Ole Miss is finding a groove, or a Tennessee, those type teams, right? That chop, they just go, they keep going. How quickly can we get it snapped? Usually it's around like the 25 or 30 second mark. I mean, it is really cooking. When you do have a chance to sub, you feel like you got enough guys and you can save some snaps and things of that nature. Flipping it to the other side, though, look, Kentucky carried it 47 times last weekend. Only 93 yards on the ground, but they did carry it 47 times, dude. That's a lot. What do you expect from this South Carolina offense? Like, do you expect them to be bullish with the run? This is by the numbers, and I get it. They haven't played the teams like Carolina has or others, but by the numbers, Ole Miss has the number one rush defense in college football. They've only given up 46 yards per game on the ground. It's pretty remarkable.
What did they give up against Kentucky? Let me pull that up real quick.
93 yards and 47 carries. So what do you think Carolina's game plan is? Like, they run the football. So, like, do you think they'll be bullish in that? I feel like I mentioned it to Mike earlier and JC. This feels like a fourth down type game where Shane Beamer will give Dowell Loggains in certain situations on the field. You got 4 downs to convert here. Well, walk us through that as an OC.
Man, I tell you, I'm expecting to see a lot of the same game plan we had against LSU.
Okay.
Lots of quick game on first down to get the ball out of Sellers' hand and get the confidence going. Do not change that. That has to be the foundation of the offense. He's still young. He's only played 3 games. Do not think, okay, he's played 3 games, he's played good. Let's turn him into Peyton Manning. Do not do that. Let's continue. Quick, easy throws, get the ball out of his hand, visually see him have him visually see the completion, right? Complete catch, run, first down. He needs to see that, get into the feel, into the game. Get Ashford in the game with the QB run, and then also let him throw it a couple of times, right? To get that mix of quarterback run if Sellers is not full steam ahead. But yeah, I think that we've got to be bullish in the run game. If you look at the stats, I pull them up from the Kentucky Ole Miss game. 47 carries for 93 yards. Brock Vandergriff with 17 carries. Now, how many of those are categorized as carries but were scrambles? I don't know. Maybe let's call it 5. 12 carries from Brock doesn't strike me as a dual threat quarterback, but hey, you never know, man. He might be just like me. I don't know. So
no, come on, man. He doesn't have a 66-yarder.
Yeah, okay, you're right. 17 carries for 3 yards was not in my DNA, buddy. I was getting at least 1 yard a carry. But
he actually,
but
I totaled it up 11 carries for 50 yards if you take the sacks out.
Okay, thank you.
Remove the sacks. Okay,
pretty good average there. So maybe he is on my level, But I'll judge that. But
he's never had a 30-minute pull and run.
No,
I'm still the only player in college football to have a 60-yard run and be drinking coffee, smoking a cigarette, and still continue on with a run during a live football game.
I had 2 beers.
I went to the bathroom.
I had 2 beers and
made a
text
sandwich.
G.A. Mangus, nice play call while you were.
Yeah.
I was like, is that Perry Orth? And I looked down, did a few things. I was like, hey, damn, he's still running.
Yeah, there you go.
It was one of the greatest play calls in the read you made.
Yeah.
One of the greatest of all time.
I switched over and watched the end of the Alabama game, and he was just crossing the 50 when I came back.
Nobody there. Nobody. It was crazy.
But to that point, I don't know how that joke has continued. JB, you and I have literally been joking about that run for 8 years now, and it somehow has not died yet. But
I still have a video of it.
It's a legend. The most legendary thing ever
in real time.
But yeah, we got to be bullish in the run game, and if we are, keep ball away. I mean, Ole Miss, 17 points at home. But their stats aren't horrible. It just sounds like, you know what? I need to do team stats. Third down, I knew it. Third down conversion. I was about to say it. 1 for 10. That's going to be a huge difference in the game. Mark my words. Turnover margin, Kentucky won. Third down percentage, Kentucky won. 2. Remember my 5 keys: non-offensive touchdown, third down, red zone, rushing, turnovers.
Mm-hmm. And Kentucky wasn't very good on third downs either. They were just 4 of 16 in the game, but they were like 3 of 4 or 4 of 5 on fourth down.
3 of 3.
3 of 3. There you go. Yeah. So
what Kentucky has done, Perry, with the game against Georgia in the teens and the performance in Oxford, it's reminded people how impressive Carolina was in Lexington offensively to do what they did. I realize the defense stole the show, but
I'm telling you guys,
Kentucky's defense is 100% legit, nasty, legit.
They are, and the reason we were able to score, though, obviously we had the pick 6 and we got the 24 offensively against them, but our efficiency that game on offense was excellent. When we got the ball down there, we scored touchdowns, and that's where the separation in the game came from. And again, not trying to be, Coach Loggains fanboy here. The dude has called a hell of a season, and I'm going to stick with it and stick to it. And the kids are executing and playing well. And efficiency on offense, keep away, and got to have a couple explosives. And we do that offensively, and that's how Kentucky won the football game. Defensively, stop the run, rush the passer, and we win the football game. If we let Dart sit back there and throw darts, we will get boat raced.
Well, Perry, you know what? I trust you more than the common internet troll, and I agree with you. I think Dowell Loggains, especially from week 1 to week 4, has really evolved this offense into something that is recognizable. And if they just continue to do so as the season goes along, I think that'll continue to equate to wins. Carolina's got a chance to do so this weekend. Well, we got to let you run on that note. Any final parting shots here? I know you just gave some, but any final parting shots?
No, this is excellent. I'm excited for the game. I'm glad to be back in Williams-Brice. And Gamecocks are going to win this one. I don't care that Ole Miss lost. I don't care that they're pissed off. If you're not pissed off to win anyway, then you're playing the wrong game. So we're pissed off about LSU. I'm pissed off that whatever. I'm just pissed. I'm pissed all the time. So
just a mad man.
I'm just a mad man. And I like South Carolina to win. Seriously, I do. I think I told you against Kentucky, I was very skeptical going into that game, that I didn't feel that we were going to win the game. But after the sample size that I have, I like South Carolina now. Whether they do it or not, it's a different story. But if we play like we have, take away the turnovers, and we'll win.
Perry, a wise man once said, it is better to be pissed off than pissed on. And I'm with you. I'd rather be pissed off. There's no doubt about
Socrates, that. I think that was.
Love it.
How did you know I told this dude named Tyson that in high school? And I dumped
Hey, Perry, I'll be in tomorrow. I'll give you a shout